but let's get to today's top story here. Carmelo Anthony has been traded to the Atlanta Hawks. The Thunder have agreed to a deal. It's a 3-team trade among Oklahoma City, the Hawks, and the Philadelphia 76ers, in which Carmelo goes to Atlanta, in which case the Hawks are expected to buy out Carmelo Anthony at $27.9 million. The Hawks will then waive Carmelo, and Melo will be able to sign with whatever team he pleases, all right? So it's a 3-team deal with other pieces involved. Dennis Schroeder going to the Thunder, TLC headed to Oklahoma City as well. Justin Anderson goes to the Hawks, as well as a protected 2022 first-round pick. And there you see the 76ers are involved in the deal as well. So what is the taking away point, if you will, with all this? Carmelo Anthony now gets to decide where he wants to go next. Now, according to reports out there, Melo has been telling people that he wants to sign with the Houston Rockets, all right? So he can join up with Chris Paul, one of his good buddies there, and it makes sense from a lot of fronts. Meanwhile, the Thunder get a fast playmaking point guard in Dennis Schroeder. There were a lot of rumors out there that Schroeder was going to be dealt at some point this offseason, and obviously that has come to fruition. And the Thunder's projected luxury tax bill, meanwhile, will drop from $150 million to $88.8 million, saving them some $62 million in total. So from one perspective, it's a salary situation here with Oklahoma City. They were in a really tough situation in terms of their financials with Carmelo Anthony on that team. Now that he is gone, and he was an expensive player, by the way, to not really have an impact on the Thunder. Now the Thunder get some salary cap relief, get some luxury tax relief. Meanwhile, Carmelo gets paid by the Atlanta Hawks at $27.9 million. Then he moves on to perhaps the Houston Rockets. So there you go. Carmelo Anthony living his best life right now, ladies and gentlemen. Where is he headed next? Let me know in comments. I'm on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. We got Bray saying Melo to the Heat. We got Alpha T, Rockets, Ralph Lauren Jr. Is that the brand? Rockets. So keep hitting me up in comments. I want to hear from you guys. All right, let's go to the next NBA rumor on the list. How about the Kings to acquire Ryan Anderson? So Hoops Hype reported the Kings may absorb Ryan Anderson's contract in a trade deal because he has 2 years and $41.6 million left on his contract. So this would allow the Rockets to dump Anderson's deal and open up a pathway here to sign Carmelo Anthony. The Kings gained $20.5 million in cap space after trading Garrett Temple to the Grizzlies, so maybe the Kings kind of continue that move in their activity so far this offseason. Now, the Rockets may also have to give up a future draft pick in this deal. In fact, they most likely will have to. Also, trading Anderson away allows the Houston Rockets to have more wiggle room, if you will, in trying to get a Clint Capella deal done, because so far, those two sides, the Capella camp and the Houston Rockets, have been at a standstill, a stalemate in terms of progress, all right? So you get a future pick if you're the Kings and you can build upon your talent. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets create a pathway for Carmelo Anthony to head on over to the state of Texas. All right, next up on the list, the Spurs wanted a 20-point scorer for Kawhi Leonard. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, Mitch Lawrence of the Sporting News reported that the Spurs' top priority in a Kawhi Leonard trade was a 20-point score. So the Spurs prioritized winning ways and wanted players that could win now rather than players they could develop over a few years. All right, so that was a non-negotiable kind of priority here for San Antonio. Now, the Spurs obviously accomplished this by acquiring DeMar DeRozan from the Toronto Raptors, sending Kawhi Leonard on over to Toronto. So DeRozan averaged 23 points per game last season. He's an all-star. The San Antonio Spurs clearly still want to compete in the Western Conference, And you guys know my feelings on this. Congratulations, San Antonio, because you made an incredible move, somehow getting compensation for Kawhi Leonard and not allowing him to waltz into free agency next year, in which case you would get nothing for Kawhi. So San Antonio did a really good job in terms of pulling off this deal. All right, how about Kawhi Leonard perhaps warming up to the Toronto Raptors? So he's a member of Toronto, and according to Wojnarowski here of ESPN, Kawhi has changed his mindset in terms of playing with the Raptors. Woj reported, quote, he's starting to warm up to the idea that he's going to a contender. He's got a team that could be as good as anybody in the Eastern Conference. This comes after an ESPN report noted that Kawhi, quote, had no interest, no desire to play with the Toronto Raptors. Now, Woj said Kawhi has been in contact with the Raptors, will attend training camp, and play this season. Kawhi is also healthy as we stand right now. He also may attend the USA basketball minicamp next week, which Greg Popovich coaches, by the way, which could be awkward. But hey, who knows? Now, Kawhi still plans to play with the Los Angeles Lakers next offseason. But hey, you might as well make the most out of a situation if you're Kawhi Leonard, right? If you're Kawhi Leonard, you are going to the Toronto Raptors and you can't do anything about it. So in that vein, why not play out the season, see what you can do with new head coach Nick Nurse, with Kyle Lowry and the roster that they have. We're talking about a team that was the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference last year. It's not like Kawhi was dealt to the Atlanta Hawks, for crying out loud. So it's literally not the worst situation in the world, not even close. So Kawhi has an opportunity here to contend in the Eastern Conference and perhaps go to the NBA Finals. Why, drag your feet and pout throughout the 2018-2019 season when, hey, you can put your head down, you can work hard, and see what you can do with this team. The Toronto Raptors aren't a laughingstock per se. They are not a bottom feeder in the conference. So for Kawhi Leonard, he needs to have this mentality that, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens this season. And maybe, just maybe, he falls in love with the franchise and he pulls a Paul George and signs an extension with Toronto. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but hey, it could happen. People change their minds, all right? So you never know. All right, let's talk about Magic Johnson because he is not scared of the Golden State Warriors. In an interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Magic said he ain't afraid of GSW, saying, quote, I'm not worried about Golden State. They don't keep me up at night. Now, Magic says new additions to the Lakers bring a championship mentality, talking about LeBron James and Rondo and Lance Stevenson here. Also noted here that Magic said, I know that we have a really solid team, a good team, and a tough-minded team, and we got guys now who are winners. Now, Golden State is still the favorite, according to the Vegas odds, to win the 2019 NBA Finals, but if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, without Kawhi Leonard right now, you still have to get past the Houston Rockets, which may soon have Carmelo Anthony on that depth chart, and, of course, the defending champions in that conference in the Golden State Warriors. But if I had to lay down a prediction for the LA Lakers, I'm thinking 4 seed, maybe a 3 seed in the Western Conference. And so for Magic Johnson to have this mentality that he is not scared of the Golden State Warriors, I think that's the right way to go about it. Because for Golden State, they got to battle all this complacency that could be a factor here as they head into the 2018-2019 season where maybe the hunger just isn't there anymore. Meanwhile, the hunger in LA, you better believe it is very, very high. All right, back to Kawhi here. Do the Knicks have a chance at acquiring him or signing him in 2019? So Mark Berman of the New York Post says the Knicks have a, quote, puncher's chance of signing Kawhi Leonard in 2019. The Knicks will have more cap space and have already expressed interest in pursuing Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. Add Kawhi to that list, maybe even Kemba Walker, for crying out loud. Heck, Klay Thompson if you want to. Berman also said Kawhi is familiar with New York and seems to like the city. Now, Kawhi was kind of a dark horse candidate to go to the New York Knicks this offseason. That obviously did not come to fruition. But Berman said that Kawhi spent a lot of time in northern New Jersey with his uncle while he was rehabbing. So if you want to talk about a dark horse team for next offseason to land Kawhi Leonard, the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks want to get a veteran on that team for next year to pair with the young talent that they have. So even if it's not Kawhi Leonard, I think it could be Kemba Walker. Klay Thompson, I think, is a dark horse candidate as well. So there are a lot of pieces out there that you can kind of point to where the Knicks could perhaps bring in and bolster that team. Kawhi Leonard, part of that equation as we stand, at least according to these reports out there. All right, how about this? Dirk is back in Dallas. He has signed a one-year, $5 million contract with the Mavericks. Now, this according to Shams of Yahoo Sports, or formerly of Yahoo Sports. He's now a free agent out there. Now, of course, neither side is in a rush because, well, Dirk is a Mav for life, it seems. He is going to retire with the Dallas Mavericks, and he is still unsure if he will play after the 2018-2019 season, saying, quote, I guess at this age, you kind of take it 1 year at a time, and I understand that if you are Dirk Nowitzki there. So really no doubt that he would re-sign with the Dallas Mavericks this offseason, but next offseason very much up in the air. But good for him to stay with the Mavs for this season, and we'll see how he performs with Dallas. A lot of young talent on that team there, all right? So that came through the wires yesterday. You guys are watching the Cam Rogers Show presented by Autolist. Are you looking for a new or used car out there and you're tired of browsing a million sites? Go to Autolist.com to browse the largest source of inventory on the web or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. We're going through the latest NBA news and rumors here on the show. How about Karl Anthony Towns not remaining with the Minnesota Timberwolves after next season? So, Darren Wolfson of KSTP said Karl Anthony Towns avoided questions about his contract status and future with the Minnesota Timberwolves at a recent basketball camp. Now, Towns said, quote, I'm very proud of the things I've been able to do so far, but I have a lot of things that I have to be talking about with the Minnesota leadership. So, interesting stuff here from Karl Anthony Towns. He has 1 year remaining on his contract. He can sign a contract extension this offseason, or he can become a restricted free agent next offseason. Now, ESPN's Zach Lowe says Towns reportedly isn't in a good place with the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is not good news, especially when you juxtapose that with the fact that apparently Jimmy Butler doesn't like where he stands with the Minnesota Timberwolves here, and maybe Butler moves on eventually as well. So some turmoil going on here in Minnesota. They got to figure it out right now, because if KAT and Jimmy Butler are not exactly satisfied with where they are within the franchise, not good for the 2018-2019 season and for their postseason hopes, to be honest with you. So if they want chemistry on the hardwood this year, they got to get these contracts figured out. All right, and then finally here, Michael Porter Jr. had his second surgery, this time on his lumbar spine. This was last week. The Nuggets confirmed the procedure recently. The surgery reportedly led to, quote, greater understanding of his herniated disc condition. Also helped him boost his confidence and prepare for a season in the NBA, a season where it likely won't be lost. He is expected to play at some point, but we are very far from actually knowing the exact timeline for MPJ here. Now, Porter slid to number 14 overall because of his back injuries that he suffered from his freshman year at Mizzou, kept him sidelined until early March. And there were a lot of questions about this kid's health. Now, I will point to this. Back injuries are very iffy, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of consistency. They can pop up here and there and everywhere. Look at Tiger Woods on the PGA Tour, how his back has flared up from time to time. Now, he seems to be 100% and okay for now, but the fact that there is no timetable here for Michael Porter Jr., there is no hard deadline in terms of when he will be 100%. It concerns me. It should concern Nuggets fans out there as well in terms of the future for Michael Porter Jr. Maybe that is why he slid down in the NBA draft.